Rat Smoothie Factorial ANOVA Part 9. Okay, we just finished doing the sum of squares on our two-way ANOVA with this raw data. There's your two-way ANOVA table. We just finished calculating those numbers. And then we subtracted and or added to find the sum of squares. So now we need to figure out what the degrees of freedom are for each of the sources of variance. Okay, so a degree of freedom it's kind of like a wiggle room effect, that kind of thing. But with ANOVAs, you use degrees of freedom to look up the critical values of your F ratios in your table. But we're going to go ahead and do that. But here's the degrees of freedom table. Freedom. So for the between group A, it's simply A minus 1. And little a means how many different subgroups of that factor are there, or how many levels of that factor are there. And for ours, we had a 0 milligram, 10 milligram, and 20 milligrams. So we had 3 different groups. So 3 minus 1 is 2. Same thing with the B. Between group B is the number of levels of factor B, which was just 2, right? The small and the large, minus 1 is going to be 1. And in our interaction, degrees of freedom is A minus 1 times B minus 1. So it's simply going to be 3 minus 1 because of the 3 levels of A times 2 minus 1 because of the 2 levels of B. That comes out to be 2. Bam. And then next to the last are within groups. Now remember, within groups treats everybody as an individual. So that means you're going to get a lot of degrees of freedom here. And there's the formula. And again, A is 3, B is 2, and N is the number of subjects in any single group, treatment group, and ours is 6. So we do some math, do some more math, and we get 30. Bam. And then our last one is our total degrees of freedom. There's a couple ways to do that. You can go ahead and add these numbers down in a column. So it should be 35, but let's just use the formula, right? A times B times N, which is 3 times 2 times 6 minus 1, right? 3 levels of A, 2 levels of B, 6 is our little n, minus 1, it should be 35. What do you know? It is. Pa-ba. Okay, that's it for degrees of freedom. I'm going to end this video here. Our next video will tell us how to make the mean squares using the degrees of freedom and the sum of squares. That's it. MGZ out.